Diddy will be sued. And I say will be because nothing has been filed yet, by at least 120 people in the next 30 days. So
that's of course. There's layers upon layers. When you get into these conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers upon layers.
So here's the situation. Sean Diddy Combs, the music mogul known for his lavish lifestyle, chart-topping hits, and illicit connections, is now facing a storm of controversy that's threatening to pull down not only his empire, but also the careers of some of Hollywood's biggest stars. And trust us, this scandal isn't just about one man. It's about parties that were more than just your average celebrity bash. These were secretive, late-night affairs where the lines between fun and something much darker seemed to blur. And now, the people who were there, the ones who partook, or at least watched, are being forced to make a choice that could impact the rest of their lives.
You're just like, it's there. I mean, it's not just there.
Yes.
It's everywhere. My news feed is dominated by it.
Yes.
Fox News, CNN, everyone. There's raids at Diddy's house.
You see, Diddy's name has been plastered all over the headlines lately, but what's really making waves is the ultimatum being handed out to the A-listers who attended his infamous freak-off parties. And no, this isn't some rumor circulating on the internet. It's coming straight from Tony Busby, a high-powered attorney representing over 120 alleged victims. He sent out demand letters to the celebrities who were regulars at these events, and these letters aren't just friendly reminders to clear their schedules for a court date. They're warnings. Settle out of court or prepare for a lawsuit that could drag their names through the mud in ways they never imagined.
Everybody who tells the stories like, I saw her go upstairs and these dudes are like right on the couch.
Yeah.
And then I go in this room and these guys are and it's like.
And pros. Like, apparently he was getting male gigolos to girls.
Girls?
Yeah, that was one of the rumors, like the
Male
freak off. So he would
gigolos.
hire the professional dicks to have with the girls. And I think he would watch, allegedly.
Now, here's where things get really interesting. The fact is, some of these stars didn't even engage in anything illegal. At least, that's what they claim. But according to Busby, just being there standing by while things went down makes them just as complicit as those who are actively involved. Think about it. These were individuals who had the power to stop something, to speak out, but instead did nothing. And now their silence is coming back to bite them. Let's talk about what these freak-off parties were really about. The public persona of Diddy, it's all about success, wealth, and throwing the most exclusive parties in the world. Back in the day, people used to clamor for invitations to these events. Everyone who was anyone wanted to be there. Actors, musicians, business moguls, you name it. We're talking major names like Jay-Z, Beyonce, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lopez, and more. We mean, who wouldn't want to rub shoulders with Hollywood's elite at one of the most glamorous gatherings on the planet?
Yeah, I think it's over.
You think it's over?
I think it's over for him as like a figure in entertainment.
Right. But do you think it's over as him as far as like he gets a cell right next to R. Kelly?
I don't think so.
But as the night wore on, after most of the crowd left, things would reportedly take a much darker turn. These so-called freak-offs were like a secret extension of Diddy's famous white parties, where only a select few would be allowed to stay behind. And that's when the real party began. According to reports, these events would go on for days, fueled by who knows what, with things happening behind closed doors that no one wanted to admit to seeing. It's the kind of scene where the rich and famous could do whatever they wanted, without fear of being caught. Until now, that is. The attorney, Tony Busby, has made it clear that he's not going to let these celebrities off the hook just because they didn't physically engage in wrongdoing. In his own words, their silence and inaction during the events make them complicit. And that's a pretty serious accusation to throw at some of the biggest names in entertainment. But Busby's argument is simple. If you were there and you saw something happening that you knew was wrong and you didn't do anything to stop it, you share the blame.
Rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody. Right?
That's the rumors. Yeah, I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
You've got to wonder what's going through the minds of these stars right now. Some of them are reportedly scrubbing their social media accounts, trying to distance themselves as much as possible from Diddy and these parties. You know, deleting old photos, untagging themselves from posts. Basically, doing whatever they can to erase the digital footprint that ties them to this scandal. But in today's world, where nothing ever really disappears from the internet, it's too little, too late. Once people have seen those connections, it's hard to make them forget. And it's not just about being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Tony Busby believes that many of these A-listers knew exactly what was happening at these parties, and they chose to look the other way. Some of them may have even been aware of the more serious accusations that are now coming to light. One particularly disturbing claim comes from a woman named Tania Wallace, who says she saw minors at one of these parties. Now, Diddy's legal team has come out swinging, denying the allegations, and calling Wallace's credibility into question. But the fact remains, once you throw minors into the mix, things get even messier.
The 90s.
Music business. It's a lot of people.
It's not just the music business. It's like, it's the extortion business.
Well, I mean, the rap game was crazy. That's a thing a lot of people don't realize is like, back in the day, especially like early rap game, you weren't just going to play at, what's the random theater that you would play in LA? What's like a big theater?
It's no wonder that celebrities who attended these parties are scrambling to cover their tracks. No one wants to be associated with a scandal of this magnitude. The potential fallout is huge, not just for their careers, but for their personal lives as well. Imagine being one of these stars, knowing that at any moment, your name could get dragged into a lawsuit, or worse, that you could be subpoenaed to testify. The last thing anyone wants is to be cross-examined in court about what they saw or didn't see at one of Diddy's parties. But here's the thing. This isn't just about saving face. It's about staying out of jail, because depending on what comes out in court, some of these celebrities could be facing serious legal consequences. Busby has made it clear that he's not afraid to escalate things if the demand letters don't get the response he's looking for. He's prepared to take this all the way to court, and that's where things could get really ugly. Imagine the headlines. Hollywood star testifies in Diddy scandal. It's the kind of story that the media would eat up, and not in a good way. Careers could be ruined, relationships shattered, and reputations destroyed. And for what? A few wild nights at a party that everyone thought would stay under wraps forever. What's really shocking is that some of these celebrities probably thought that, by now, the whole thing would have blown over. After all, Diddy's been in the spotlight for decades, and he's weathered plenty of storms before. But this time, things are different. This time, the accusations are too serious to ignore, and the legal pressure is mounting. It's not just about Diddy anymore. It's about everyone who was there. Everyone who was there, everyone who knew what was happening and chose to stay silent. And let's not forget, Diddy himself is facing some of the most serious charges imaginable. He's been accused of leading a criminal enterprise that involved a pattern of physical and emotional abuse, and prosecutors are pulling no punches. They've described in detail how Diddy allegedly used his power, his money, and even violence to control the people around him. And while no one else has been charged yet, it's clear that the investigation is far from over. Some of these celebrities might be hoping that by scrubbing their social media accounts and staying out of the spotlight, they can avoid getting caught in the crossfire. But according to Busby, that's not going to work. He's already said that he and his team are well aware of who was at these parties, and they're going to find out exactly what went down. In fact, Busby has hinted that he's just getting started and that more names could come out as the investigation continues.
I mean, that's what people were saying, and maybe everybody's a conspiracy theorist now, but that's what people are saying about the Diddy situation. Like when the feds rolled up, with the Hummers and shit, they were like, it wasn't about Diddy, it was about if there were tapes of powerful people there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
They were the ones that called. They're like, I need to protect myself, so go in there with all the things and rip any tapes or any evidence.
At this point, the big question is, who's going to crack first? Will one of these celebrities step forward, admit what they saw, and try to make a deal before things get worse? Or will they all continue to keep quiet, hoping that the storm will pass without dragging them down with it? Either way, the clock is ticking, and stakes are getting higher by the day. What's particularly chilling about this whole situation is the idea that so many people could have known what was happening and done nothing to stop it. If the allegations are true, that means we're not just talking about one or two bad actors. We're talking about a whole system of people who were complicit in keeping these dark secrets hidden. And now that the truth is starting to come out, it's clear that this is only the beginning.
And that has nothing to do with him having this baby or him having this side girl for almost 15 years.
The next few months are going to be critical. Diddy's trial is set to start in May of 2025, and by then, we could see a lot more names get dragged into the spotlight. Will Hollywood stand by its own, or will we see a series of shocking revelations that shake the industry to its core? And for the celebrities who are at these parties, the choice is clear. Either they come forward now and try to make things right, or they risk being taken down alongside Diddy when the full extent of the scandal is revealed. It's not a position anyone wants to be in, but at this point, there may be no way out.
Breaking news tonight, Sean Diddy Combs has been arrested in a Manhattan hotel this evening after a grand jury indicted the music mogul. His attorney tells CNN that he is currently being processed. The charges are unclear as of this moment.
As we look ahead, one thing is clear. This story is far from over. The fallout from Diddy's freak-off parties has only just begun, and Hollywood is bracing itself for what could be one of the biggest scandals in recent memory. Will the truth finally come out, or will the powerful forces at play manage to keep things under wraps? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. This is one story that's going to keep people talking for a long time. But here's the thing. The scandal surrounding Diddy's parties might just be the tip of the iceberg. What if there's something even bigger going on here? Something that's been kept hidden for years, protected by powerful interests? That's exactly what some people are starting to believe, that there's more to this story than just wild parties and shocking claims. And it's not just about Diddy. The whispers are getting louder, and they're pointing to something far more sinister, something that could involve some of the most powerful people in Hollywood and beyond.
It's kooky, and it seems like they're just leaning into it. Like there's no course correction at all. Just leaning into the kooky.
Yeah.
It's fun times.
Oh, yeah.
For comedy.
Let's start with a rumor that's been making the rounds for a while now. Diddy, or Puffy as some people still call him, might not just be another celebrity who got caught up in a scandal. Some are suggesting that he's been working as an informant for the FBI for years, maybe even decades. Sounds crazy, right? But when you start to connect the dots, it doesn't seem so far-fetched. After all, how has he managed to stay out of serious legal trouble for so long, despite being surrounded by controversy? Could it be that he's been protected, and not just by his wealth and fame, but by something deeper? This theory really started gaining traction when none other than Suge Knight, the co-founder of Death Row Records, made a stunning claim. Suge, who's currently serving time in prison, dropped a bombshell on his podcast, saying that Diddy has been an FBI informant forever. According to Suge, this isn't exactly a secret among certain circles, but it's something that's been kept from the public. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Diddy's rise to fame was meteoric, and he's managed to stay on top despite all kinds of rumors and accusations swirling around him. Could it be that his connections with law enforcement have helped him avoid the kind of downfall that's claimed so many other stars?
There's people on both sides, right? There's the people on the right that are trying to nail the people that are on the left with this. There's people that are journalists that are trying to nail the people that were involved in this.
This is it. Yeah.
And they've managed to keep that list from coming out, which shows you how powerful certain people are. That should show you a lot. That should be terrifying.
But it's not just Suge Knight who's been making these claims. Yeah, who's never been one to hold back, hinted at something similar back in 2021. In a now infamous Instagram post, Ye referred to Diddy as a Fed, implying that he had ties to the government. And during an appearance on the Drink Champs podcast in 2022, Ye doubled down on this idea, suggesting that Diddy had made some kind of deal with the authorities. West's exact words were, "The reason why you gotta talk is because you did a deal. You Fed." Now, whether or not you believe, yeah, the fact that he's bringing this up, especially given his own history with Diddy, makes it hard to ignore. And here's where things get even more interesting. There's a growing belief that Diddy's parties, the ones at the center of the scandal, weren't just about having a good time. Some people are now saying that these events might have been part of a much larger scheme, one designed to collect compromising information on powerful people. Think about it. Celebrities, politicians, and top business executives all partying together in private with no cameras allowed, except maybe the ones that Diddy himself controlled. According to some conspiracy theorists, Diddy might have been using these parties as a way to gather dirt on people. And if that's true, he wouldn't be the first person to do something like this.
Someone said that they weren't there to take stuff, they were there to delete everything. Like the real people that were in there, you know.
Oh,
like
that's
the same
funny.
thing with Epstein.
Oh, that's funny.
Remember Jeffrey Epstein? His infamous gatherings were also attended by the rich and powerful, and there's been speculation for years that he used those events to collect compromising footage and information on his guests. Could Diddy have been doing something similar? It's not as far-fetched as it sounds. After all, we know that Diddy's homes were recently raided by the Department of Homeland Security, and according to reports, they were looking for freak-off supplies and possibly more. But what if they were also looking for something else? Something like video footage or other incriminating evidence that could take down more than just Diddy? Joe Rogan, one of the most popular podcasters in the world, has even weighed in on this theory. During an episode of his show, Rogan talked about how the raids on Diddy's homes might not have been about him at all. Instead, Rogan suggested that the real reason for the raids was to find footage or evidence that could implicate other powerful people. As Rogan put it, they were like, it wasn't about Diddy. It was about if there were tapes of powerful people there. And honestly, when you think about it, that theory makes a lot of sense. If Diddy really was collecting compromising information on his guests, there's no telling what kind of bombshells could be contained in those tapes.
I mean, everybody hung with Diddy. That's the other tricky thing. Like, Diddy hung out with everybody. And I've spoken to a bunch of people who are like, yo, great dude, like, always there for you, never asked for a single thing.
Till 1 a.m.
And then freak off.
Everybody says, get out of the house.
Yeah.
It's like the gremlins start eating after midnight.
And let's not forget what Diddy's former associates have said about his parties. Take the story from a former substance dealer who attended one of these events. He described the scene as something straight out of a movie. People were doing things you wouldn't believe, and there was a feeling that anything could happen. According to this dealer, he even saw male celebrities engaging in activities that shocked him, and while Diddy wasn't directly involved, the atmosphere made him uncomfortable enough to leave. Now, if someone like that felt the need to walk away, it makes you wonder just how wild things got when the cameras weren't rolling. And here's where the conspiracy theory really takes off. If Diddy was using these parties to gather dirt on people, that would explain why so many celebrities are now trying to distance themselves from him. We've already talked about how some stars are scrubbing their social media accounts, but it goes deeper than that. Some of Diddy's closest friends and associates are being unusually quiet right now, and that's not by accident. Could it be that they're afraid of what might come out if those tapes ever see the light of day? And if Diddy really does have compromising material on these listers, it's no wonder they're all keeping their heads down.
And what's best for the people be what's running the thing. We're letting the thing be run by the people that are in power, that are corrupt, that want to keep the power.
But here's where things get even darker. There's a theory floating around that Diddy's connections go beyond just Hollywood. Some people believe that he's been protected by the government for years, not just because he's an informant, but because he's part of something much bigger. According to this theory, Diddy's rise to fame and his ability to avoid serious legal trouble for so long aren't just a coincidence. Instead, he's been working with powerful people behind the scenes, and that's why he's been able to keep his empire intact, even as the accusations against him pile up. Eddie Griffin, the comedian known for speaking his mind, has even joked about this in his stand-up routines. Griffin has said that Diddy's situation reminds him of other powerful people who seem to be able to get away with anything no matter how bad the accusations are. And while Griffin might be joking, there's a kernel of truth in what he's saying. How many times have we seen celebrities or other powerful figures get caught up in scandals, only to come out unscathed? Could it be that Diddy is just another example of someone who's been protected by forces that the public doesn't even know about?
Caligula.
Okay, so then there's the question. It's like, can you take a completely normal person, give them power, and then they become that? Or does it take a power-hungry person that has this void that they need to be filled, that needs to be filled, and then when they are given that power, you see the worst version of them?
Ask your CIA boy. I bet he's got the answers. I bet he knows the exact formula.
To corrupting somebody
Yeah.
or to...
What happens? Like what happens to these people?
And then there's the question of what happens next. If this theory is true, and if Diddy really has been working with the government or collecting compromising information on powerful people, what's his next move? Will he try to cut a deal to save himself, or will he go down swinging, taking as many people with him as possible? It's hard to say, but one thing's for sure, this story is far from over. In the meantime, we're left to speculate. Could it be that Diddy's fall from grace is just the beginning of something much bigger? Are we about to see more names come out? More revelations about what really went down at those parties? And if so, who will be next? Will it be one of the celebrities who's been scrubbing their social media accounts? Or someone we haven't even thought of yet? And then there's the question of whether or not the public is ready to hear the full truth. If the conspiracy theories are right, and if Diddy really has been working with powerful people to keep these secrets hidden, then the fallout could be enormous. We're talking about a scandal that could shake Hollywood, and maybe even the political world, to its core. And the craziest part, we might only be scratching the surface of what's really going on. One thing's for sure, the world is watching, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Whether or not you believe the conspiracy theories, there's no denying that this story has all the makings of a Hollywood thriller. We've got power, money, secrets, and betrayal. The only question now is who's going to come out on top, and who's going to get left behind.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
And with that, we come to the end of this section. But trust us, the story is far from over. With Diddy's trial set for May 2025 and more revelations likely to come out before then, we're sure to see even more twists and turns in the coming months. So, with all these shocking revelations and conspiracy theories surrounding Diddy's infamous parties, what do you think? Could some of Hollywood's biggest stars really be hiding dark secrets from those wild nights? Or is this just another overblown scandal designed to take down a powerful figure? Let us know what you believe in the comments below. And if you think Diddy's story is just the tip of the iceberg, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more updates as this story unfolds